Oh, hello there. I didn't see you. Happy holidays. I'm having some delicious hot cocoa, and I hope you are too. Set this aside. There's a lot of different stories that come out around the holidays that have led to so many wonderful holiday traditions. Today, we're talking about one that's a little bit darker. We're talking about the Krampus. Many of you out there may have no idea what the Krampus is. That's why I'm here. The Krampus is this very bizarre looking creature. Half man, half goat. Some say half demon. It has long horns, sharp teeth, jagged claws. Its body is covered in fur that's either black or brown. It has one normal human leg and one cloven hoofed leg that clunks as it steps to let you know he's getting closer and closer. He has a long, protruding tongue with a sharp point at the end, so you can hear it waving, slurping, and waiting for his next victim. On his body, there are chains, and he will shake them and rattle them to scare those he is coming after. In some traditions, the chains even have bells, cling and ring in disturbing ways that shock you to your inner core. He carries a bundle of sticks, birch sticks, ready to bring pain down upon those who have earned it. And when the time is right, if you have been a bad little boy or a bad little girl, he will come into your home, grab you, give you a whack, or if you've been extremely bad, he will take you, toss you into his cart or into his sack, and take you away from your family. And then he'll either drown you in the river, or worse yet, take you directly to hell. That is the Krampus. He strikes on December 5th, the day before the feast of St. Nicholas. And when St. Nicholas is out on the 5th to give presents to the good girls and boys, well, the Krampus is following just behind him to punish the bad girls and boys. And sometimes, if you haven't earned a kidnapping and you haven't earned a caning, he'll still leave one of his rods right where you can see it, just as a reminder that he is out there and he will get you. Some traditions say if you provide a cup of schnapps on your doorstep, the Krampus will be distracted by the drink and leave your children alone. Yes, the Krampus, the shadow to St. Nicholas, the punisher of the bad boys and girls. His legend is interesting, not because it involves punishment in a time that oftentimes is set around gifts and caring and love, but because the history of when he started is muddled in mystery. It is believed at the earliest he appeared in myth and folklore around the 5th or 6th century AD in the Alpine regions of Austria and possibly the Bavarian region of Germany. But there is no written evidence of this tradition. In fact, the only written evidence we do have of the earliest mentioning of this creature, at least, is from the late 16th and early 17th century. 1,000 years later, people are talking about this tradition that's been around for as long as anyone can remember. Obviously, if it's been around for 1,000 years, I doubt there's a 1,000-year-old person in the village. So historians and those who studied folklore have theories or ideas, but for proper facts, we don't actually know. At one point or another, in pagan tradition, there was the Krampus, and he came to punish those who were naughty. And as Christianity moved and became one of the dominant religions of Europe, it took all the way until the 16th or 17th century to be combined with the Christian tradition of St. Nicholas. As there are many traditions built off the story of St. Nicholas, including the American Santa Claus, I will be getting into those stories when I have the chance later this month. So look forward to that. Also, it should be noted that in the 30s, the Krampus became kind of illegal when the political regimes of Germany and Austria were changing in the 20s and 30s, a lot of traditions were kind of being shoved to the wayside. And even as far as the 50s, the Austrians were very much like, this tradition is garbage and you should not follow it. It took closer to the modern age, in like the 80s, 90s, and even the 2000s, for Krampus to regain a foothold in Europe and become part of tradition once again. Because even if a government wants to take traditions away from the people have to choose to give up those traditions themselves. We know what the Krampus looks like. We know what the Krampus does. And we know the muddled history of the Krampus. But there's a lot of fun Krampus facts you might not know. For example, one of the events that has started in a lot of countries is Krampuslauf, or the Krampus Run. And this is where they will have kind of a parade type thing with people dressed up like Krampuses, threatening people with the rods. Unfortunately, sometimes this gets a little out of hand. People have gotten hurt, and people dressed up as the Krampus have also gotten hurt in retaliation for, hitting people with the stick. It's led to a little bit of chaos, and while I do kind of find it funny, I also realized, people, you were standing on the edge of the Krampusnacht parade. What did you think was going to happen to you? In addition to that, there was also in the late 1800s and early 1900s, Krampus cards, like Christmas cards, but Krampus, to remind children that Krampus is out there and you might want to start behaving. But then they also had like versions for adults, some of which were funny and some of which were more spicy. Because Germany, supposedly prior to various Krampus-themed events or parades, sometimes adults would just dress up as the Krampus just to freak children out on Krampusnacht, December 5th, because why not? It's adult Halloween now. Deal with it. In addition to that, in the modern day, we have a lot of silly versions. Cutesy Krampuses have been seen at touristy Christmas markets, and of course, it has entered the zeitgeist as a cryptid and kind of had some of the various silly designs and stuff that have happened with many cryptids, like Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster. Unfortunately, because of how things get passed around online, there are a group of people who believe that the Krampus is supposed to be a descendant of Hel, 1L, the goddess of death from Norse mythology. This is wrong for a lot of reasons that are anthropological. To make it very simple, while the Germans do have some beliefs of the Nordic peoples, the time period, the type of story, and everything like that do not mesh well in a way that would make any sense. In addition to that, the Germans did not follow the Norse pantheon. They had kind of their own traditions and beliefs. So it would make no sense for them to have a Norse goddess be the parent of the Punisher. Now, before I wrap up, there's one more little Krampus fact I'd like to throw out there. He is not the only Yuletide Punisher. Many different regions have many different traditions. And while the Krampus has gained popularity in, kind of a zeitgeisty pop culture way, these other Punishers do exist, and I will cover them at a later date. For now, I just find it amusing that the story of the Krampus has spread down into Italy and across into Eastern Europe, and even here to America, where we all have our different versions of this monster. Hot cocoa. It's the best. And you know what's also the best? Giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing to my channel to see more Tavern Tales. And until next time, I'll see you at the tavern. Or my living room drinking a hot cocoa. Either way, happy holidays.